Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I'm determined to do this in one take today, so let's see how it goes. I'm just going to leave it running and let the chips fall where they may. Um, Thanks for joining me on what looks like it's going to be a fairly miserable Sunday. What have I been watching this week? First one is, and I've got an admission to make before I actually talk about this one. I am a bit of a Cliff Richard fan. I can almost hear the groans. Um, Sorry, Guy, I know you're a bit of a rock and roller and this, that, and the other. You probably don't think much of Cliff Richard, but I quite like him. He's nice, easy listening, perfect for driving into work on a morning. Um, doesn't assault my eardrums. So the first movie I'm going to talk about is one that he made in 1973. That one. It's called Take Me High. Um, he plays a high-flying merchant banker who's expecting a promotion to New York and actually gets posted to Birmingham, of all places. He lives with his girlfriend. He's a bit of a caveman in his attitude. He doesn't pay her very much attention. His idea of a birthday present was a Kenwood chef mixer. Bad move, Cliff. Anyway, he goes for this job in Birmingham, has to do battle with another guy who's up for the same promotion as he is. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I know Caroline Kay is looking forward to watching this. She missed it on Talking Pictures, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, i.e. spoilers and that. But the story is fairly straightforward. You've got a sort of a backstory running through it of romance and political sort of takeovers and stuff like that. It's nothing complicated, and obviously you've got a lot of Cliff Richard songs in there, most of which I have to admit are completely forgettable, but there are two or three in there that I really do like. The opening title, It's Only Money, is good, and the title track is my earworm of the week. My God, I can't get that tune out of my head. I bumped into it by accident on an old 70s compilation CD that I was playing in the car. I didn't even realise it was Cliff Richard at the time, so I looked it up and thought, I'm sure he did a film called that. Checked it out, thought, yeah, we'll have that on Blu-ray. It's thoroughly enjoyable. It's bright, breezy entertainment, something to put on a rainy Saturday afternoon when there's nothing else on and nothing else to do. I can think of worse ways of spending 90 minutes than watching that. For anybody that's thinking of getting the Blu-ray of that, I'll just show you quickly what you get in it. Obviously you get the disc, and you also get this little booklet, which is, again, we all know how rubbish I am at this. You've got sort of rough details of the making of the movie, and the print is impossibly small. I need magnifying glasses for this one. And obviously you've got some promotion material at the back there that was probably available in 1973, but I wouldn't fancy trying to order it now. So yeah, I would absolutely recommend that one. Thoroughly enjoyed it. We'll definitely watch it again, and that's called Take Me High. I'm actually looking into watching more of Cliff's movies because I enjoyed that one so much. I haven't seen Summer Holiday for a lot of years. I've never seen The Young Ones. That's one I want to watch. The one I really want to catch is a movie called Serious Charge. This was his film debut in 1959, and the film got an X certificate, presumably due to content. So I'm tracking that one down now because I'm really curious to know what an X certificate film starring Cliff Richard looks like. I know it's going to be fairly tame by today's standards, but I'm still very curious to see what it looks like. So as soon as I get that through, I'll drop a little review. I'm going to put a review of that, by the way, on the website very shortly. So if you could just pop over and just have a quick read for me, just leave me a comment or two, that'll be very much appreciated. What else have I been watching this week? Watched that one last week, Barbarella. What can you possibly say about Barbarella? Absolute classic. Jane Fonda, space sex kitten, sent on a mission to find a missing scientist called Duran Duran. And yes, that is where Duran Duran the band got their name from, was from this movie. It's a good, fun, 1960s, trippy as hell romp. Thoroughly enjoyable, seen it many, many times, and will absolutely watch it many, many more times. The soundtrack is amazing. Obviously, I got that by the Bob Crew generation. The title track is brilliant. There's an end track on this called An Angel Is Love, which is absolutely superb, but the whole soundtrack is brilliant. So if you've never seen Barbarella, I definitely recommend you have a look at that one. Made in 1968, directed by Roger Vadim, who was Fonda's husband at the time. Apparently he wanted originally Brigitte Bardot or Sophia Loren to play the role, but they both turned it down for their own reasons, and he offered it to Jane Fonda, and it launched her career. So I'm not sure how she feels about it now. I've heard mixed opinions as to whether she actually is proud of it and enjoys it now. It was a bit of an exploitation pick at the time. Obviously it looks very tame now. It did very well in Europe and Britain, where I believe it was the number 2 movie next to the Jungle Book of that year, Disney's Jungle Book. And they re-released it in 1977 on the back of the success of Star Wars. They added a bit onto the end of the title. They called it Barbarella, Queen of the Galaxy. Took out all of the nudity and slapped a PG certificate on it. So not quite sure how it held up against Star Wars, but I'd be very, very interested to see what the cut version looked like. I don't think it's ever been released, but if they do some kind of an anniversary edition, that would be a brilliant extra to put on there, is the PG version of Barbarella minus all the nudity and everything else that made it an X certificate in its day. So that's one to bear in mind. The next movie I watched, this was last weekend, is Telstar, the Joe Meek story. It's basically the story of Joe Meek, who was the original, I wouldn't say inventor. He made Telstar, the track that was #1 all over the world for ages, by the Tornadoes. Classic track. And it basically focuses on his life from having a recording studio above a leather goods shop. Not that kind of leather goods, like wallets and handbags and stuff like that. It's a cracking movie, but it's a difficult watch. Joe Meek was a very, very troubled man. He was gay when being gay was not acceptable. It was a criminal offence back then. And there was all sorts going on. He was I think he was a schizophrenic. He was just a very, very troubled man. And the last 20 minutes is what you can only describe as disturbing. It's a true story, obviously. This is how it happened. But I would highly recommend it. The guy who plays him, I got it completely wrong. I looked at him and thought it was the guy who was in Gavin and Stacey. Now, I've never watched Gavin and Stacey, but I do know the chap that was in it, and I thought it was him, and it wasn't. It's somebody else. So I got that one completely wrong. It's directed by Nick Moran, who starred in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. It's a brilliant film, superbly acted, well worth 2 hours of your time, so I definitely recommend that one, and that's called Telstar, the Joe Meek story. I was having a conversation at work a few days ago with James Sanders, one of the security guards, who recommended I take a look at one of his favourite movies, Rambo, Last Blood. Now, I've seen First Blood many, many years ago. I think I've seen Rambo 2, but I've not seen 3 or 4. Now, 4 is supposed to be horrendously violent, but I promised him that I would have a look at this, and I popped it on yesterday. Oh, wow. everybody pretty much knows um, my relationship with graphic violence is not the best. Oh, Rambo 5, what can you say? It's Sylvester Stallone doing what Sylvester Stallone does best. It's Rambo basically making bad people suffer terribly. Um, it's not a difficult story to get your head round at all. I mean, I've missed 3 and 4, so I don't want to say too much until I've watched them. But um, this is more of a revenge film than a military type thing. It's got an air of sort of Death Wish about it. His niece basically goes to Mexico to find her real father, gets involved with a Mexican cartel, a really brutal Mexican cartel, and it kind of goes from there. Um, there is some really brutal, graphic violence in there. I did keep having to do, I was doing a lot of this and I was doing a lot of this. Um, it wasn't quite on a level of Bone Tomahawk, which I spoke about a few weeks ago, which is quite easily one of the most horrible films I've ever watched. It wasn't quite on a par with that, but it damn well comes a close second. Um, but it's really, really well done for what it is. I mean, if you go into a Rambo film expecting high art and deep meaningfuls, you're going to be very disappointed. Um, this is just a good, straightforward, balls out action film with lots of brutal violence in it. And the final scene, I won't give too much away, but basically he's rigged his farmhouse up. He lives on a ranch nowadays. He's rigged this ranch up with traps of all kinds of descriptions involving bows and arrows and bombs and bullets and all sorts. The final 15 minutes is just absolute, complete and utter mayhem. Um, but yeah, I would recommend it. If you like your violence, brutal and graphic, I can't think of anything better apart from Bone Tomahawk. So yeah, Rambo 4 gets a sort of a 4 out of 5 from me, so I'd recommend that one. And last night is pizza and a movie night, and I chose a movie called I Care a Lot. You have got to watch this. It is an incredible movie. It stars Rosamund Pike. And again, I'm not going to give too much away from this. It's best if you go into this knowing as little as possible. But just to give you a brief outline, she plays a woman who has a company that basically cons old people out of their money and their home while banging them up in nursing homes. And she picks the wrong person to cross. There are so many twists and turns. It's twists and turns and turns and twists, and every time you think you know where it's going, it veers off in another direction, and you will absolutely, well, I didn't, you will absolutely not see the ending coming. It completely caught me off guard, but it is highly recommended. It's probably one of the best newer movies that I've seen this year so far. So if you get to watch that, it's on Amazon Prime. That's where you'll find it, and it's called I Care a Lot. Stars Rosamund Pike and Diane Weiss, who I loved in a lot of the Woody Allen films. She played a brilliant part in Hannah and Her Sisters in '86. And she starred in quite a few Woody Allen films, so I was very familiar with her, but I certainly wasn't familiar with the Diane Weiss that I saw last night. So yeah, if you get the chance to watch that, uh, definitely watch it. It's on Amazon Prime and it's called I Care a Lot. Now then, what have I bought this week? Well, on the back of the little Cliff Richard thing that I've got going at the moment, I come across that one for £7, so I thought, why not? This is one of his early efforts. I can't remember what year it was made, 1959, so it's the same year as Serious Charge, but I think this is a much lighter, brighter, breezier affair. I believe it's a musical, so I'm definitely going to have a look at that. It's actually got the DVD and the Blu-ray in there, and it's released by the BFI, so there's going to be a wealth of extras on there, which I'm going to look forward to watching. I got Amazon have been busy with me this week. Night Mail. If I just read a little bit of the back, one of the most critically acclaimed and best loved films produced within the British documentary movement. Night Mail tells the fascinating story of the travelling post office from Euston to Glasgow and the men who worked it. This is pure nostalgia. I watched it. It features the music of Benjamin Britten and the poetry of W.H. Auden. So if either of those names mean anything to you, you are going to love this. It was made in 1936. So it's an old film, but believe me, this is worth watching. And also, I've been listening to a podcast over the last few weeks called Real Britannia. And if you like classic, older British movies, it's an essential listen. They've been doing a series recently on British kitchen sink dramas. Not so much Look Back in Anger, Taste of Honey, Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, that kind of thing, but more the ones that pave the way for them. Movies like this one, Millions Like Us, which I think is basically set in a munitions factory during the war. Stars Gordon Jackson, who you all remember from Upstairs Downstairs as the butler, Hudson. So looking forward to watching that. Another one from the same sort of stable, Boys in Brown. This is Dirk Bogarde, Richard Attenborough. A very early forerunner, from what I've read, of Scum, because it's set in a borstal, or what they used to call, I believe, a detention centre. So I'm looking forward to watching that one to see how it. Obviously, it won't compare to Scum. It will be nowhere near as brutal as that. Another one that was mentioned was this one, Nine Men, and it's a wartime thing set in the desert, about a platoon that gets stranded in the desert in a fort, I believe, and their efforts to get out of it. It's only about 65 minutes long, but again, you've got some names in this. You've got Gordon Jackson in there again, so I'm looking forward to having a look at that. And while I was on the site, I came across 2 found footage movies, and I thought, yeah, why not? I've never seen this one. UFO, the Rendlesham incident, one of the most famous UFO incidents in British history. This is a found footage thing. Now, I'm a real sucker for found footage film. I know people say most of them are crap, and I'm sure a lot of them are, but I usually get at least 1 or 2 decent scares in even the worst one. So I should really do an article on those, actually, because I've got quite a few of them. Ranging from the Blair Witch, which was the original. Oh my god, that one got into my head and I could not get it out. The other one I bought along the same lines is one called Evidence. Now, I've read great things about this one. I'm really looking forward to watching it. But I'm a bit of a traditionalist with things like this. If I'm going to watch something like this, it's got to be at night. It's got to be with the lights out, otherwise it just don't work. So I will be having a look at that one, and I'll definitely drop a review of that one when I finally watched it. My other purchase this week, now this was quite expensive. This was about £30, but I really, really, really wanted it. Censor in the 70s. It's basically a history of the BBFC. Now, as you may know, I am absolutely fascinated by anything to do with the British Board of Film Classification. They used to be known as the British Board of Film Censors, but apparently they didn't want people thinking that they were just there to censor things, or to classify, which is more sort of customer friendly, I think. But I've already dipped into a couple of chapters of this regarding Straw Dogs, Clockwork Orange, Last Tango in Paris. This is fascinating stuff. I love reading about the work of the BBFC, the stuff they've had put in front of them, how they viewed it, what they cut, why they cut it. I really am going to start a season of what I would class as not so much banned films, but films that have had problems with the BBFC, including Straw Dogs, Clockwork Orange, and some of the lesser known ones. Midnight Cowboy was the first X-certificate American movie to win the Oscar, Best Picture Oscar, I think it was. So I will be starting a season of those very shortly. And let's see, the other thing was, somebody sent me a post yesterday advertising a Friday the 13th Steelbook. Now I've got to look what extras are on this before I order it, but it looks good. But I have already got one, and I think I've shown this off before, but I'll just do it very quickly again. It's that one, and this has got all of them in. If I just give you a quick look at what's actually in there, you get this lovely book. Here we go, if I can get it out. Lovely book. I said one take, didn't I? Come here. Now then, and if you take the band off, you've basically got all of the movies in there, like that, right the way through to Jason versus Freddy versus Jason, is it? Right the way through. You've got thousands of extras on there, hundreds of hours of them. You've also got this rather nice bloody thing. Little book. Oh, you've even got 3D glasses, because apparently one of them, Friday the 13th in, I think it was 3, is in 3D. You get this rather nice Crystal Lake Councillor clothing patch, and also this rather handsome looking little volume of all kinds of bits of information and stuff. There's something dropped on the floor a minute ago. Oh, it's a second pair of 3D glasses. So yeah, I'm interested in that steelbook without a doubt, but I need to make sure that the extras that are on it are going to be different from these, because it's hardly going to be worth getting it if I've got all the documentaries and stuff on this box set, which is a little cracker. So, but I will be looking at that. One more thing before I go. I've signed up for an app on the PC and on my phone called Letterboxd. I mentioned it on the site yesterday, and Jason said he wasn't familiar with it. For some reason, I got the feeling it was a lot more popular than it actually is. It's a social media site dedicated purely to movie lovers. I did have it on my phone here, if it's still up. Has it gone? There we go. I mean, that's on the phone, but that's the home page, and that's my home page. Here we go. There we go, look, with my favourites and 3 of the films that I've watched over the last few nights. Basically, it enables you to keep a track of what movies you're watching. You can put little reviews on there if you want, do ratings, that kind of thing. It's like a movie community, and it is like the sort of, it's a movie lovers Facebook, basically. So I'm looking forward to seeing how I go with that. I've done a couple of bits on it, but there are people that have been on it for years, and they've got like thousands of reviews and hundreds of films on there. I think I've got something like 3 reviews and 3 movies at the moment, so I've got a way to go with that one. But I'm just having great fun on it, basically, just entering things on there and finding out what other people are watching and getting recommendations for movies that I've not seen. I mean, as we all know, my list of movies that I've not seen is absolutely vast to the extreme, so I'm not going to be adding too much. But yeah, if you get the chance, just pop over and have a look at Letterboxd. It's an interesting app, and I get the feeling I'm going to have some good times on that one. So I enjoyed the videos last week, by the way. The ones that who set the question? Was it Jason? Yeah. So anybody else that wants to set a question on the channel, please feel free, just go for it. Anybody at all. Steve Mack, he's my BFI guy. You must have some interesting questions out there. I'm fairly sure Guy could do another one. I'd love to see Caroline do one. If you're out there, mate, set a question for us, because we love stuff like that. Right, I'm going to let you get on with your day. I was going to try and shorten the videos. I've been talking to people all week about it, saying that the one I did the week before last on the Goonies was way too long. I've obviously learnt a valuable lesson from that, because this one's gone on for nearly 24 minutes. So yeah, I thought they needed shortening and being a little more punchy, but I think half of the problem was that I was basically talking about just one movie, and it didn't really work as well as I thought it would. And I've also been going back on a lot of the reviews on the website that I did when I first started, and I didn't realise until I looked at them just how much my writing has actually come on. It's not perfect, it's not brilliant, the grammar is not right yet, and I do tend to borrow little snippets from other people's reviews. I'll read something and think, oh yeah, I like that, that's exactly what I would have put if I'd have thought of it. So I do tend to do a little bit of that. But looking back at the very early reviews, I had no idea how bad some of them were. So what I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks is going over the older reviews and possibly tidying them up a bit, that kind of thing, just making them uh, a little more like the reviews that I'm actually writing down, which, as I say, are not perfect, they're not brilliant, but they're certainly a lot better than the earlier ones. And I'll do the same with some of the YouTube videos, because I'm fairly sure that a lot of those will sound. I watched the very first one again a few weeks back. Wow, I've come on quite a way since then, that's for sure. So yeah, I'll probably be redoing a couple of those as well as we go on. Right, I'm going to let you get on with your day, folks. Thanks ever so much for joining me and listening to me prattling on for the last 25 minutes or so. If you've enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. I really would appreciate it. Subscribe, obviously. And also, if you pop over to the website and just have a look at the Take Me High review and any other reviews I've got on there, I really appreciate any comments you leave. I spend a lot of time writing reviews nowadays. On my tea break at work, I've got a little laptop and I just sit there tapping away, creating reviews. I'm about 4 weeks ahead at the moment, which is brilliant because normally I don't get the time to do it here. But the website is kind of my baby. That's the one that kind of started it all. So any comments that you want to leave on there, please feel free. And any suggestions that you've got to make it better, make the YouTube videos better, anything like that, please let me know. I'm open to suggestions, absolutely. Have a brilliant day, folks, and thanks ever so much for joining me and for listening to me bobbling on for the last nearly half an hour. Take care of yourselves, and I will talk to you all again next week. Take care. Bye bye.